Giannis wants out. He's deleted everything Bucks related from his social medias, and he might have faked an injury. I'll let y'all decide on that one. Giannis might have finally decided that it's time for him to move on from Milwaukee. But if he does move on, where will he go? Well, I first want to go over what teams would be getting in Giannis in 2025, then go over what a Giannis trade would actually look like for the 3 betting favorites, the 3 most interesting teams, and the 3 teams that I personally think he'll go to. But first, let's go over who Giannis is as a player. At 24, Giannis became one of 3 players in NBA history to win an MVP and a DPOY in the same year. And he's just now entering his 30s, which are supposed to be an NBA player's prime years. Giannis this season is 3rd in points per minute in a season, trailing only Wilt and Joel Embiid in 2024. Almost 6 years after winning his last MVP, he's just now having his best season. Clearly he's worth a ton, even if he isn't exactly a young player anymore. Alright, let's move on to the betting favorites. Starting off with the Knicks. The Knicks are first place in terms of betting odds to get Giannis with 45% implied odds. But I feel like there's no way to do this trade for Giannis without either dishing out Cat or Brunson plus OG for a few reasons. The Bucks don't own their picks, meaning they need to compete, and the Knicks need to stay under the second apron. So keeping all this in mind, I tried to put together as realistic but simple of a trade as I could, just between the Knicks and the Bucks. And I realized it's kind of hard to make a trade like that. I started off with this idea and posted it on that demon platform Reddit, and I got 20 hate comments in like 1 minute. So let me know what you think about it. The Knicks would get Giannis, Thanasis, Cole Anthony, and Gary Harris, while the Bucks would get Cat, Josh Hart, Miles McBride, and I said around 3 first-round picks. I still think it's not bad, but I'm not gonna lie, I was getting cooked. I think it's because people just underrate Cat, so they think the Bucks wouldn't be getting that much back. But anyways, since I got fried for that, I decided to make a more Bucks-friendly trade, and I put together Giannis, Kuzma, Jericho Sims, and Andre Jackson to the Knicks, while the Bucks get Brunson, OG Anunoby, Miles McBride, and Gershon Yabusele. For both teams, this is basically a souped-up version of the Cat and Randall trade. The Knicks would upgrade their top player again, while giving up OG and McBride to the Bucks so they can fill out their depth. The Bucks would be downgrading from Giannis to Brunson, like the Wolves went from Cat to Randall, but in exchange for a still great player and better depth. I think both of these would slot right in fit-wise, and it would keep the Bucks under the tax while the Knicks obviously stay under the second apron. Plus, the Bucks would get to dump off some dead weight in Kuzma, and it would allow the Knicks to buy into the present more, while still keeping the team in the late 20s to early 30s range, making sure the timeline is still straight. I think if this were to happen, it would be a great trade for both teams. Moving on to the second betting odds favorites, the Milwaukee Bucks. If I were a betting man, I'd just put my money on him staying, but if I were a smart man, I wouldn't bet. So, you know. Giannis is so loyal, and he's a great player right now, so I'm assuming he's just trying to get the Bucks to go into a more of a win now mentality and push the organization into spending picks for better surrounding players while he's still in his prime. A pretty simple example of this would be with the Nets. Maybe Kuzma and Portis and 2 or 3 firsts for Cam Thomas and MPJ. Point is, they'd be trading to a team that wants to lose for their good players and dumping their bad salaries and a few picks to buy in now while Giannis is still in his prime. With this Nets example specifically, which, you know, probably wouldn't happen, I think MPJ would be a great fit. And if they use Cam Thomas as a bench player, he would instantly be one of the best bench guards in the league. No matter what, if they spend all their picks, the future is going to be tough for the Bucks, but on the bright side, they have enough to set themselves up with a pretty solid young player that will probably amount to more than what their first round picks would be worth anyway. I think if you're the Bucks, you have to do whatever you can to keep Giannis. And the third betting on favorite with like 8% was the Spurs. Spurs fans are where I've seen Giannis buzz for a while. They really want to team up Giannis and Wemby. No matter what, with this trade, the Bucks would be getting so many picks, it probably wouldn't matter how many games they lose this season, even if they don't really own their pick. Still though, they'd probably want to stay competitive because they're just going to pick from terrible picks every year for a while after this year. What I mocked up to the Spurs, and let me know if this one's bad too, I mocked up Giannis and Andre Jackson for Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Carter Bryant, Harrison Barnes, 3 firsts and a second. This might be a bit of an overpay from the Spurs, and I know Spurs fans specifically won't like this. I saw someone say they wouldn't do Devin Vassell for Giannis straight up, which is delusion. I threw these trade ideas together in like 5 minutes, so feel free to roast me, I don't care. Moving on to the 3 teams that I think would be the most interesting, starting off with the third most interesting trade spot. I think it'd be the Hawks. The reason I think it's the third most interesting one is because the Hawks are considered to be the 4th most likely already, so it wouldn't be like a surprise or anything, but a Trey and Giannis duo would be a crazy good 2-man game. The issue here is both players are so ball dominant that it would be kind of tough to feed both of them. The more interesting scenario though would be to actually trade Trey and other stuff of course for Giannis. This Hawks team is built to work around a great playmaker like Giannis, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker has shown he can be the go-to guard in Atlanta, so Giannis could absolutely slot right in. They just have to make the money match, and both teams would probably walk out feeling good about it, or as good as you can feel trading your 2 franchise players. Moving on to the second most insane one in my mind, the Heat. Miami is a good trade location in my eyes because they have such a great package to offer. They have a few picks they could use, but more importantly, they have Tyler Hero and Kel'el Ware, one already being an all-star, maybe all-NBA in the future, and the other having clear all-star potential. These two paired with picks and swaps and all that nonsense would be one of the best potential realistic trade packages for Giannis. Maybe even Bam and Ware would be the preferred package, keeping Tyler Hero and Giannis on the same team, but I'd assume they have to give up Hero. Anyway, Miami is a place I'd keep my eye on for sure. Moving on to the Jazz, this destination is something I've seen nobody talk about, but when I think about it, the real questions are, is it like too early for the Jazz to cash in, and do they even have enough to get Giannis? I personally think maybe it would be a little too early to cash in, but they definitely have what it takes to trade for him, and I do think Giannis and Larry would be a top 3 duo in the NBA just immediately. The logic behind this one is everyone kind of knew Ace Bailey didn't want to get drafted by the Jazz, but they did it anyway. So shipping it out is kind of a win-win for both parties because I still don't think Ace really wants to play there, even though he's doing great. But now that Giannis is on the market, I think it would be a good idea to trade. Like if you zoom all the way out, Ace Bailey is still the 5th overall pick with tons of potential. And then what I put together was Ace Bailey along with Walker Kessler, Keontae George, Yusuf Nurkic, Kyle Anderson, and Niang to get Giannis, Cole Anthony, and Andre Jackson Jr. I think this would be a win-win trade because those players are bound to be good on the Bucks, while this really solid young Jazz team could get Giannis and do sort of what the Rockets did with KD. Bring a great older player into a young team and just level up now while teaching them for the future. Now, do I think this is probable? Hell no. But I do think it's possible, and I do definitely think it's an interesting spot. Moving on, who I think he'll go to. Number 1, like I said, the Bucks. I mean, I really do think he'll stay. Like I said, he's loyal, and the Bucks have shown they're willing to do anything to keep him. The second most likely, ignoring the betting odds, I think it's the Heat. Giannis, if he leaves, will probably want a bigger market, and Miami is a great option for a big market with a lot of love for basketball. Plus, there's a video of him talking to Speed about taxes in Florida, and Speed asked if like taxes were good in Milwaukee and if Giannis wanted to stay, and Giannis just said probably. It seems like Florida would be a place he's interested in going. Moving on to the third team I think he has a real chance to go to, the Knicks. If Miami is a big market with love for basketball, then the Knicks are just a souped up version of Miami. The only reason I don't see Giannis going here is because I don't think the Knicks have enough to offer for him right now. I think they have great top end talent, but they don't really have the picks and the young talent to keep them interested. All right, well, that's a white boy's take on the situation. Let me know what you think. Make sure to comment and like. Thank you. Bye-bye.